Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Rabbit Industry Undermines, Eagle Sauce Crazy Defensive. Lin Chen travels through parallel worlds, inherits his family's factory, and awakens the black technology system. At this moment, the rabbit is facing the blockade of Eagle Sauce technology. Rabbit. Can carbon fiber teach me how to do it? Eagle Sauce. Impossible, just pointing at this to earn your money. Lin Chen. I just made a carbon fiber fishing rod and no one bought it. Eagle Sauce. Rabbit. No, you use carbon fiber as a fishing rod. Lin Chen. What else is carbon fiber used for besides making fishing rods? Rabbit. For the Air Force. The senior management of the Navy held up a high-priced aircraft carrier and asked Lin Chen if he could make it. Lin Chen was stunned. This thing, there are still thousands of them in the warehouse. Shunfeng Express. Mr. Lin, where is the small plane I am delivering the package to? Lin Chen pointed to the sky and said, are you familiar with the missile hanging in the sky? Afterwards, the National Industrial Survey revealed that there were too many good things here in Lin Chen. Before getting to the bottom. The South Tianmen Plan is a science fiction idea. After investigation. What is the South Tianmen Plan? That's our army's plan for next year. Eagle Sauce. Unmanned bombers delivering takeout, do you call this a private enterprise? Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Factory on the Brink of Bankruptcy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mr. Lin, if you don't think of a way, our prosperous and strong industry will go bankrupt. The speaker was a middle-aged man named Chen Xing. Chen Xing is a senior engineer at Fujian Industry and has been working for many years. Lin Chen was stunned for a moment, as if he hadn't heard the middle-aged man's words. Have I traveled? Subsequently, Lin Chen's head hurt and countless memories flooded into his mind. Chen Xing looked at Lin Chen with a bewildered expression and silently sighed, saying, Mr. Lin, I know you just returned to China and need to rest. However, currently our factory has too much debt. When your father was still alive, he even borrowed high-interest loans to revitalize the factory. Now the profit margin has exceeded 1 billion. The lender said that if we can't gather the first amount of money to repay them within 2 weeks, our factory cannot be preserved. At that time, we can only sell it to them at a low price. After receiving the memory, Lin Chen sighed. This is a dead end. The prosperous and strong industry has a history of decades. In my grandfather's generation, specializing in agricultural production, he can be considered as the first generation of patriotic merchants in the Dragon Kingdom. Although my grandfather was skilled in business, he did a terrible job in educating his children. Lin Chen's cheap father is uneducated and inexperienced. Although his heart is not bad, he just likes to tinker with things. We have expanded more than 10 production lines for Fujian Industry, and each one has a huge loss. Lin Chen sighed. So, the wealthy second generation should not tinker around blindly. Lying at home every day, eating and waiting to die, money can't be spent at all. It's better now, cheap dad has passed away and left Lin Chen with such a mess. Chen Xing noticed that Lin Chen's face was a bit ugly and asked anxiously. Mr. Lin, I see something is wrong with your expression. Are you okay? Lin Chen smiled faintly and said, Hi, it's okay. Chen Gong, could you help me contact several real estate agents and see how much this factory can sell for? Chen Xing hesitated for a moment and asked in confusion, Mr. Lin, do you really plan to sell the factory? I came to Fujian Industry at the age of 22. At that time, your grandfather was the first generation of patriotic merchants in the Dragon Kingdom and was also commended. Mr. Lin, is there really no other way? Lin Chen smiled and shook his head, saying, In 2 weeks, with a debt of 1 billion, I can't think of any way. Let's contact the intermediary first, we'd better prepare for the worst. After hearing this, Chen Xing didn't say anything. After all, Lin Chen is only 25 years old. For a young person, this matter is indeed a bit too difficult. Chen Xing nodded helplessly and said, I understand, Mr. Lin, I'll go and contact you now. As soon as Chen Xing left, Lin Chen heard a cold mechanical sound. Ding, successfully detected host traversal, about to obtain black technology system. The beginner gift package has been sent. May I ask if the host has opened it? After hearing the sound, Lin Chen smiled happily. Sure enough, the system is a standard feature for travelers. Without any hesitation, Lin Chen smiled and said, open it. In an instant, an interface that only he could see appeared in front of Lin Chen. A gift package slowly opened, and Lin Chen saw a ball of silk thinner than her hair. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining T40 level carbon fiber technology. The technical drawings, machines, and workers for producing carbon fibers have been placed in the warehouse, and the host can check them at any time. After hearing this, Lin Chen smiled happily. I'll go, this is giving myself a production line. The system is quite considerate, so I can also explain to the outside world. Ding system task release currently. Fujian Industry owes 100 million yuan in debt, main task. As long as the host returns this 1 billion within 2 weeks, they can start the next black technology reward. Side task. Eliminate the high-interest loan group that illegally lends money, and you can receive an additional lucky draw. After the task was released, a black line appeared on Lin Chen's desk. And this is T40 grade carbon fiber. System, how do you use this thing? T40 grade carbon fiber, with high modulus, high strength, and low density characteristics, can be used to make fishing rods and bicycles. The fishing rod made of T40 grade carbon fiber will be the most powerful fishing rod in the world. The most powerful fishing rod. Isn't that selling for as much as you want? After hearing this, Lin Chen quickly took out information about the prosperous and strong industry. When he saw that Fujian Industry had a complete fishing rod production line, he smiled happily. Subsequently, Lin Chen dialed Chen Xing's phone number. Chen Gong, don't worry about the real estate agency for now. Hurry up and come to my office, let's discuss the latest products of Fujian Industry. On the first day of the new book, please take a sip of your milk, ladies and gentlemen, request some free flower reviews, even if you say a word in the comment section, so that the author will be more motivated to code the words, every day with a minimum of 10,000 words. Do what you say. Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. One fishing rod, 500,000 renminbi. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After receiving Lin Chen's call, Chen Xing was filled with doubts. Because just half an hour ago, Lin Chen had a worried expression on his face. I want Chen Xing to find a real estate agent and see if he can sell more money to Fujian Industry. In the blink of an eye, Lin Chen surprisingly said again, want to discuss the latest products of Fujian Industry. Chen Xing dared not neglect and quickly returned to Lin Chen's office. As soon as he entered the door, Chen Xing saw Lin Chen's happy smile. Chen Xing was stunned and asked in confusion, Mr. Lin, what makes you so happy? Lin Chen smiled and asked, Chen Gong, I have studied the production line of Fujian Industry. Our factory can produce fishing rods, right? Chen Xing nodded and said, that's right. The former factory director was quite fond of fishing, so, he opened a production line and registered a Guangwei trademark. However, because the product's popularity is too low, no one bought it. Lin Chen smiled and said, it's okay, as long as you can make a fishing rod. When I was abroad before, I found a new type of material that was quite suitable for making fishing rods. After hearing this, Chen Xing asked in confusion, new materials. Chen Xing looked at Lin Chen skeptically, knowing that Lin Chen had been abroad since childhood. However, Chen Xing does not know exactly what Lin Chen does abroad. Lin Chen smiled and said, "Chen Gong, I can't explain too much specifically to you. Next, you need to help me with two things. The first thing is to ensure that the fishing rod production line can operate normally. The second thing is to try to contact some big influencers as much as possible. After our fishing rod production is completed, we will start shipping." Chen Xing hesitated and said, "Bring the goods. But those big anchors' commissions are all very high. We may not be able to afford it." Lin Chen smiled slightly and said, "Chen Gong, just follow what I said. No matter how much they ask, we will agree. As long as they can sell the goods." Chen Xing looked at Lin Chen and smiled incredulously, not knowing what Lin Chen really wanted to do. Chen Xing asked inexplicably, "Mr. Lin, is it too risky to do this? After all, not many people are willing to buy our brand of fishing rod." Lin Chen smiled and said, "Chen Gong, I am the boss of Fujian Industry. Please believe that everything I do is to save this factory. So, let's do what I said first. First, contact the anchor to screen, and then, after the first batch of fishing rods come out, I will personally negotiate the conditions." After seeing Lin Chen's firm gaze, Chen Xing nodded heavily and said, "Okay, Mr. Lin, I'll go do it now." When Chen Xing went to contact the anchor, Lin Chen came to the production workshop. Due to loading the black technology system, Lin Chen easily, the first fishing rod was made using T40 grade carbon fiber. At night, Chen Xing came back very late. After returning, he went directly to the production workshop and found Lin Chen. "Mr. Lin, according to your instructions, I have selected some live streamers for sales. Among them, I think the most suitable one is the local fishing anchor Deng Gang. He has millions of fans on Douyin, with high fan stickiness and good purchasing power. However, there is currently an issue that I have contacted his assistant." His assistant said, "The brand of Deng Gang's products must be a first.Line product. Our Guangwei brand is indeed a bit weak in terms of popularity." After hearing this, Lin Chen couldn't help but laugh and said, "If we add money, can we discuss it?" Chen Xing shook his head and said dejectedly, "I can't talk. Recently, Deng Gang has been completing a challenge and not only doesn't have time to help us bring goods," he said, "even some top brands are waiting for Deng Gang's deadline." Lin Chen asked inexplicably, "What challenge?" Chen Xing explained. "Not far from our factory, there is a mountain and water reservoir. The reservoir owner is inside and has released a 200-pound green fish. Recently, many fishing anchors have been in this reservoir, broadcasting challenges to catch this giant green fish. Deng Gang has been challenging for 3 consecutive days, and the closest success was catching Juqing. However, when sliding the fishing rod couldn't hold up and exploded directly. This matter has all gone viral." After hearing this, Lin Chen smiled happily and said, "Chen Gong, this is an excellent opportunity given to us by heaven. Since the reservoir is so close to our factory, tomorrow, let's just bring our fishing rod and chat with Deng Gang." Chen Xing nodded and said, "That's okay. If you go, it will be more convincing." Chen Xing suddenly thought of something and urgently asked, "By the way, Mr. Lin, how much do you plan to sell our fishing rod for?" Lin Chen said calmly, 500,000. "I think this price is quite suitable." After hearing this, Chen Xing was immediately stunned. A fishing rod from an unknown brand, priced at 500,000 yuan. Is this price really suitable? On the first day of the new book, please take a sip of your milk, ladies and gentlemen, request some free flower reviews, even if you say a word in the comment section, so that the author will be more motivated to code the words, every day with a minimum of 10,000 words. Do what you say. Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Are you teasing me, right? You are listening at novel full.audio. After hearing Lin Chen's pricing, Chen Xing gave a bitter smile and said with concern. Mr. Lin, is this price a bit too high? After hearing this, Lin Chen smiled and said, I think this price is very reasonable. Chen Xing was stunned. Reasonable? Where is this price reasonable? Previously, when Guangwei fishing rods first started production, in order to open up the market, reduce the price of a fishing rod worth 1,000 yuan to 300 yuan, and not many people are willing to buy it. The reason is simple, because the popularity of Guangwei fishing rods is really too weak. And now, Lin Chen has set the price of a fishing rod at 500,000 yuan. Chen Xing was a bit puzzled and asked, Mr. Lin, is this price really suitable? Lin Chen explained with a smile, of course. Chen Gong, I did my homework this afternoon. At present, the top fishing rods are made in Japan. It uses T20 grade carbon fiber, priced at 10 million yen, converted to the currency of Dragon Country, it's around 630,000 yuan, and our fishing rod is made of T40 grade carbon fiber. I don't know how many times higher the grade is than them. I'm pricing 1 million, not too much, right? Considering that our Guangwei's popularity is not high enough, so, I offered a discount and sold a batch of discounted fishing rods in the live broadcast room, a piece of 500,000 yuan. Is this price quite reasonable? Although Chen Xing is a senior engineer, he doesn't know much about carbon fiber. Therefore, after Chen Xing listened to Lin Chen's explanation, mistakenly thought that the T40 level carbon fiber was brought back by Lin Chen from abroad, so he curiously said, Mr. Lin, I still can't believe it. Can you show me our fishing rod? Lin Chen smiled and shook his head, saying, Chen Gong, this is a trade secret. Tomorrow, let's go talk to Deng Gang about cooperation, and then you will believe me. The next day, at Shanshui Reservoir. Under Chen Xing's guidance, Lin Chen brought Guangwei fishing rod and found Deng Gang's assistant. Lin Chen smiled and said, Hello, I am the boss of Fujian Industry. My name is Lin Chen. I'm here to discuss cooperation with you. After listening to Lin Chen's introduction, the assistant was stunned and asked in confusion, Rich and strong industry. What do you do? What kind of cooperation are you planning to discuss? Lin Chen continued, fishing rod. We know that Deng Gang is currently completing the challenge of fishing for giant green fish. Although Deng Gang's skills are top-notch, the fishing rod in his hand feels a bit cramped. We believe that if he uses the Guangwei fishing rod produced by our Fujian industry, so, there will definitely be no situation where the rod explodes. Keep Deng Gang safe and you will definitely be able to catch the giant green. After hearing this, the assistant sneered and said, Mr. Lin, the fishing rods used by Brother Gang are all world-class. Guangwei fishing rod. Sorry, I didn't mention this brand. Lin Chen smiled confidently and said, I haven't heard of it before, but it doesn't mean our fishing rod is not good. Brother, let's meet Deng Gang once. Regardless of whether the cooperation can be negotiated, I will give you this number. Lin Chen extended 5 fingers, meaning 50,000. The assistant smiled, and there was also a hint of smile on his originally cold face. Mr. Lin is really generous. I think this matter can still be discussed. After all, the prosperous and strong industry, it's also our own company in Longwa, so it's a big help. By the way, Mr. Lin, how much stock have you prepared for your fishing rod? Lin Chen smiled and said, a total of 200. Not in stock, it's for pre-sale. The assistant thought he had heard the wrong thing and said incredulously, 200. Or pre-sale. Your production capacity is too low, isn't it? Lin Chen smiled slightly and said, because of the materials used to make fishing rods, it's a bit more precious, so the shipment volume is lower. The assistant's expression was somewhat displeased, and he continued to ask, what is the price of the fishing rod? Lin Chen smiled and said, the original price is 1 million yuan. I will give it to the fans in the live broadcast room, a special offer, now for only 500,000, you can buy our fishing rod. Although the price is a bit higher, our fishing rod is. Before Lin Chen could finish speaking, the assistant sneered and said, "What if 50 million fishing rods?" "Mr. Lin, are you here to entertain me?" What else Chen Xing wanted to explain. The assistant waved his hand and said coldly, "Mr. Lin, we can't pick up your goods. You should go somewhere else and take a look. On the first day of the new book, please take a sip of your milk, ladies and gentlemen, request some free flower reviews, even if you say a word in the comment section, so that the author will be more motivated to code the words, every day with a minimum of 10,000 words, do what you say Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4 Deng Gang. This fishing rod is a bit unusual. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing Assistant Deng Gang's words, Chen Xing silently sighed. No wonder the assistant thinks that Lin Chen is here to entertain him. Ordinary people would think so. Chen Xing took a step forward and smiled, saying, "Assistant Lu, I admit that the pricing of our fishing rods is indeed a bit high. But the problem is, the quality of our fishing rods is really good. The materials used to make fishing rods are definitely top-notch." The assistant sneered and said, "Don't try to deceive me. I've been following Gang Ji's side for many years, but I haven't seen any top-notch fishing rods. I admit, there are indeed millions of fishing rods, but the problem is, such a fishing rod is your guanwei. Can you own such a miscellaneous brand?" Chen Xing wanted to explain something else, but the assistant smiled and said, "Sorry, both of you. Steel Brothers live broadcast is about to start. So, in order not to affect Gang's live broadcast, please leave first." At this moment, a sturdy man walked out of the house. This person is Deng Gang, the eldest brother of Douyin Fishing. After seeing the assistant, Deng Gang looked a bit unhappy and said, "Xiao Lu, what are you doing? The live broadcast time is coming up soon, what are you still doing?" The assistant smiled apologetically and said, "I'm sorry, Brother Gang. If you come across two troublemakers, I'll invite them out now." Deng Gang glanced at Lin Chen and didn't say anything. When Deng Gang was about to pass by Lin Chen directly took out the fishing rod and threw it to Deng Gang. "Brother Steel, this is the fishing rod made in our factory. Let's take a look." Subconsciously, Deng Gang took the fishing rod and just as he was about to return it, he noticed a slight mistake. That is, although this fishing rod is very large, it is very light, and when held in hand, one cannot feel the weight at all. Moreover, the feel is quite good, more comfortable than any top-notch fishing rod he has ever used before. The assistant saw Lin Chen handing the fishing rod to Deng Gang and looked a bit displeased, saying, "Mr. Lin, what are you doing? Brother Gang is about to start live streaming, you can't cause trouble here." As the assistant spoke, he looked at Deng Gang and smiled, saying, "Sorry, Brother Steel, I didn't handle this matter properly. I'll send them both away now." Speaking, the assistant wanted to take the guanwei fishing rod from Deng Gang's hand. Deng Gang stopped him directly, looked at Lin Chen, and asked, "Is this fishing rod made in your factory?" Lin Chen saw the curious expression in Deng Gang's eyes and instantly understood, Deng Gang may have already discovered the differences of this fishing rod. Lin Chen smiled and said, "That's right. This is guanwei fishing rod, made by our Fujiang industry." Deng Gang weighed the fishing rod in his hand and curiously asked, "The fishing rod is very light, does it weigh 100 grams? Lin Chen smiled and shook his head, saying, "No, about 58 grams. After hearing this, Deng Gang was shocked and said, 58 grams. How could this be possible? The assistant thought Lin Chen was lying and sneered, saying, "Mr. Lin, do you know what 58 grams means? At present, the world's top fishing rods are made by the Japanese, the weight can only be controlled around 200 grams and your Guangwei fishing rod, an unknown miscellaneous brand, surprisingly, the weight of the fishing rod can be controlled within 100 grams. Speaking of this, who do you think would believe it? After hearing this, Lin Chen smiled slightly and asked in response. Before, Brother Gang almost caught Juqing because of the quality of his fishing rod. When he was sliding the fish, his rod exploded. I would like to ask, which fishing rod were you using at that time? How much is the value? The assistant didn't want to continue pestering Lin Chen and smiled, saying. Mr. Lin, Brother Gang is about to live stream. Let's end our chat here. Originally, Deng Gang did not pay much attention to Lin Chen. But when he saw Lin Chen's fishing rod, curious about Lin Chen and his fishing rod, he smiled and said. Xiao Lu, the live broadcast is not urgent, it's okay to be a little late. Mr. Lin, the fishing rod I used before was a custom-made fishing rod from abroad, which cost about 1 million yuan. Lin Chen smiled confidently and said, Brother Steele, my fishing rod only costs 500,000 yuan. And I can assure you that this fishing rod will never explode. You can definitely catch that 200-pound giant green fish with it on the first day of the new book. Please take a sip of your milk, ladies and gentlemen, request some free flower reviews, even if you say a word in the comments section, so that the author will be more motivated to code the words, every day with a minimum of 10,000 words. Do what you say. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. On-site testing of fishing rod performance. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After hearing Lin Chen's words, Deng Gang couldn't help but laugh and said. Mr. Lin, are you just so confident? Lin Chen smiled slightly and said, of course. Deng Gang joked, what if I didn't catch this Guangwei fishing rod? Just like before, it exploded again. What should I do? Lin Chen confidently said. Brother Steele, if our Guangwei fishing rod explodes, I am willing to compensate you for all your losses. Even so, I am willing to gamble on the entire prosperous and strong industry. If it explodes, Fujian industry will be yours. After hearing Lin Chen's words, Chen Xing couldn't help but laugh. The current prosperous industry, with a debt of 1 billion, is a hot potato. Deng Gang, however, did not know all of this. He looked at Lin Chen, pondered for a moment, and said. Mr. Lin, these are just some jokes. Even if it explodes, I can't take your factory. However, I am quite interested in your fishing rod. Coincidentally, I have a complete set of equipment for testing fishing rods here. If you don't mind, I would like to test the performance of this fishing rod now. Lin Chen nodded with a smile and said, of course there's no problem. Brother Steele, thank you for giving us this opportunity. After hearing this, Deng Gang smiled and shook his head, saying, don't rush to thank me yet. Mr. Lin, let's talk nonsense first. According to my normal plan, I will start live streaming in 10 minutes. And testing your fishing rod may affect my broadcast. If this fishing rod is not as powerful as you said, so, you have to compensate me for my loss. Lin Chen nodded with a smile and said, it should be. But what if it passes the test? Deng Gang smiled and said, then I must have bought it. Moreover, I also need to help you promote your products during the live broadcast, with a commission of no charge. After hearing this, Lin Chen nodded satisfactorily and said, okay. It's not too late, let's start quickly. After hearing Deng Gang's words, the assistant on the side froze. The assistant didn't understand, but Deng Gang had a strong sense of time. I have never been late during the live broadcast. Moreover, now is the crucial moment to challenge fishing for giant green fish. The assistant doesn't understand why Deng Gang cares so much about such an unknown fishing rod. When heading to the workshop, the assistant asked in a low voice. Brother Steele, how do I feel? You're so interested in this fishing rod. Why do I feel like this fishing rod is just average? Deng Gang said seriously, Xiao Lu, you don't know that anymore. I have been fishing for decades with a used fishing rod, not less than 1,000 pieces. It can be said that there are countless reading rods. No matter what kind of fishing rod it is, as long as I hold it in my hand, I can roughly know what it really is. But I think Lin Chen's fishing rod exudes a bit of strangeness everywhere. So, I want to study it carefully. Soon, everyone arrived at the workshop, and Deng Gang was not just fishing. Occasionally, he also conducts some fishing rod tests. Deng Gang first placed the fishing rod on the weight scale, and after seeing the value, he smiled and said, Mr. Lin, your fishing rod is indeed 58 grams. You're absolutely right. However, this doesn't necessarily mean anything. After all, judging whether a fishing rod is qualified, generally speaking, testing will be conducted from three aspects: weight, flexibility, and firmness. The weight is qualified. Next, I'm going to conduct a flexibility test. After speaking, Deng Gang took out half a fishing rod from the box and said seriously, Mr. Lin, this is the fishing rod I damaged a few days ago. It can be said that this fishing rod is the top fishing rod here. I have tested its flexibility before, and it can bend up to about 70 degrees to its limit. Mr. Lin, what is the maximum bending limit of your fishing rod? I don't know. Can we reach the level of this fishing rod? Chen Xing was stunned for a moment, then suddenly remembered that Lin Chen seemed to have never tested the limit of this fishing rod. When he was about to say something, Lin Chen smiled slightly and said, Brother Steele, how can this kind of junk fishing rod made in Japan be compared to my Guangwei fishing rod? Since you said, the maximum curvature of Japanese fishing rods is only 70 degrees. So, when we test the Guangwei fishing rod, let's start directly from 70 degrees. On the first day of the new book, please take a sip of your milk. Ladies and gentlemen, request some free flower reviews, even if you say a word in the comment section, so that the author will be more motivated to code the words, every day with a minimum of 10,000 words. Do what you say. Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Is this flexibility really a fishing rod? You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing Lin Chen's confident words, Deng Gang was stunned and smiled incredulously, asking, Mr. Lin, did you test this fishing rod before you came? Lin Chen smiled and shook his head, saying, Brother Steele, to be honest, this fishing rod was just made last night. I don't have time to test any of its performance. Even if I want to invite you to help me live stream and promote products, it can only be pre-sale, not in stock. Deng Gang curiously asked. Since that's the case, how do I feel? You have quite confidence in the performance of this fishing rod. Lin Chen smiled slightly and said. It's very simple. This is the fishing rod produced by our Fujian industry. And the brand, Fujian Industry, is the guarantee of quality. Chen Xing was also infected by what Lin Chen said, and he excitedly said. That's right, our prosperous industry has a history of decades. Teacher Deng, you can completely trust our quality. Deng Gang smiled and said, okay. Since you all said that, let's start testing from 70 degrees. When Deng Gang learned that the weight of this fishing rod was only 58 grams, I am also very curious about the performance of this fishing rod. After all, Deng Gang has used no less than 1,000 fishing rods. However, the top ones inside are all bought from abroad. Although Deng Gang is just a fishing anchor, he also has a patriotic heart. I also hope to use the top fishing rods produced by Dragon Country. The assistant acted quickly and set the parameters after placing the fishing rod on the machine. Before starting the machine, the assistant anxiously said. Brother Steele, are you sure to start testing at 70 degrees? Deng Gang nodded and said, that's right. Let's get started. The assistant took a deep breath. After all, the top fishing rods from abroad before, the limit of bending is only at 70 degrees. Can this unknown brand, Guangwei fishing rod, really reach this level? The machine started by the assistant. Under the pull of the machine, the Guangwei fishing rod gradually began to bend. 10 degrees, 30 degrees, 50 degrees. As the curvature gradually increased, Chen Xing held his breath and nervously watched the scene. In my heart, I am also cheering for Guangwei fishing rod. Lin Chen looked at this fishing rod with a relaxed expression on his face. Actually, Lin Chen lied just now. Yesterday, Lin Chen briefly tested this fishing rod, therefore, only he knows how exaggerated the limit of this fishing rod is. Quickly, the curvature reached 70 degrees. After seeing this scene, Deng Gang and his assistant shook their heads in disbelief and said, "Mr. Lin, your fishing rod is fine." Unexpectedly, the Guangwei fishing rod can reach the level of top foreign fishing rods. Deng Gang looked at Lin Chen and said in admiration, "Mr. Lin, I have decided that for this live challenge, I will use this Guangwei fishing rod. And we will also bring you goods for free. Unexpectedly, one day I will also be able to use the top-notch fishing rods produced by Dragon Country." Lin Chen smiled slightly and asked in response, "Brother Steel, are you satisfied now? I actually feel that the limit of Guangwei fishing rod has not yet reached. We can increase our efforts a bit more." Deng Gang hesitated for a moment and asked in confusion, "Mr. Lin, how else do you want to test?" Lin Chen smiled and said, "Try 80 degrees. Deng Gang looked at Lin Chen with concern. Bending degree of 80 degrees. Deng Ganka has never seen a fishing rod that can reach this level before. Chen Xing also had some worries, and he smiled and said, "Mr. Lin, I think that our Guangwei fishing rod, being able to bend 70 degrees, this flexibility is already sufficient. After all, this level is comparable to the world's top fishing rods." Lin Chen sneered and said, "How can the garbage fishing rod made in Japan be compared to our Guangwei fishing rod?" Subsequently, Lin Chen ignored everyone and took a step forward directly, adjusted the parameters to 80 degrees and decisively pressed the start button. The assistant hesitated for a moment and asked in confusion, "Brother Steel, is this really okay? What if it explodes when you come up? I think it's better for us to be more cautious in the price comparison." Deng Gang smiled and said, "Give it a try. I also want to know where the limit of this Guangwei fishing rod lies." With the start of the machine, the curvature of the fishing rod reached 80 degrees. And the Guangwei fishing rod has no abnormalities at all. Deng Gang looked at the scene before him and said in shock, "Mr. Lin, this is simply unbelievable. I never expected that the curvature of the fishing rod could reach 80 degrees. With such performance, Guangwei fishing rod can definitely be considered the world's top fishing rod. Foreign fishing rods cannot be compared at all. Mr. Lin, I'm sure I'll buy your fishing rod." Lin Chen's expression remained relaxed as he continued to control the machine. Deng Gang asked inexplicably, "Mr. Lin, what else are you doing?" Lin Chen smiled and said, "I've tested 80 degrees, I want to test 90 degrees. On the first day of the new book, please take a sip of your milk, ladies and gentlemen. Request some free flower reviews, even if you say a word in the comments section, so that the author will be more motivated to code the words, every day with a minimum of 10,000 words. Do what you say. Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7 Lin Chen. The Dragon Kingdom should not lack this thing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing this, Deng Gang quickly stopped and said, "Mr. Lin, I think an 80-degree bend is enough. I believe that as soon as our test video is released, Guangwei fishing rod will immediately explode. When the time comes, don't say it's just over 50 million fishing rods. Even if it's 1 million, there are still a large number of anglers willing to buy it. After all, this quality of fishing rod is simply unheard of. So, Mr. Lin, please don't test again. If there is really something wrong with this fishing rod, it won't be useful when I live stream later. Chen Xing also came to persuade and smiled, saying, Teacher Deng is right. Mr. Lin, if you want to test it, after we mass produce it, we can test it any way we want. Teacher Deng has to rush to live stream today, so let's stop here. Lin Chen smiled and said, Ha ha ha, why are you so nervous? Don't worry, for this Guangwei fishing rod, but I'm quite confident that there won't be any problems. After speaking, Lin Chen directly started the machine. Deng Gang said in surprise, Mr. Lin, don't do it. Deng Gang hurriedly took 2 steps forward and was about to stop Lin Chen, but he was 1 step late. Under the pull of the machine, the curvature of the Guangwei fishing rod gradually reached an astonishing 90 degrees. After seeing this scene, the assistant instinctively took 2 steps back, fearing that he would explode and hurt himself. The Guangwei fishing rod seems to have reached a 90-degree bend, but there is nothing unusual. Deng Gang was stunned and looked at the shocking scene before him. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Lin Chen smiled slightly and said, Brother Steele, how are you? I've already said that bending 90 degrees is not a problem for Guangwei fishing rods. Deng Gang only realized after hearing Lin Chen's words. He looked at his assistant and said urgently, What are you staring at? Hurry up and capture this scene. The assistant hurriedly picked up his phone and recorded everything. After the assistant finished filming, Lin Chen smiled and said, Brother Steele, why don't we? Before Lin Chen could finish speaking, Deng Gang interrupted him and said with a smile, Mr. Lin, that's enough. If I test again, even if the fishing rod is fine, my little heart can't take it anymore. Deng Gang carefully controlled the machine and restored the fishing rod to its original condition, and excitedly picked up the fishing rod, carefully scrutinizing it. Although the fishing rod has just undergone a very extreme test, however, Deng Gang did not find any abnormalities on the fishing rod, as if nothing had happened just now. After careful inspection, Deng Gang excitedly said, Mr. Lin, this fishing rod is simply a miracle. Under a 90-degree test, surprisingly, there was no damage. Mr. Lin, what material is this fishing rod made of? Lin Chen said, Carbon fiber. After hearing this, Deng Gang asked in confusion. But the fishing rod I bought from abroad before was also made of carbon fiber. Why is the flexibility and weight so different from your one? Lin Chen smiled and said, Foreign fishing rods are just T20 carbon fiber. And our Guangwei fishing rods produced by Fujian Industry use T40 grade carbon fiber. The two cannot be compared at all. After hearing this, Deng Gang nodded and said, Mr. Lin, I'll buy this fishing rod. Moreover, I will also bring you goods, commission, and not charge a penny. However, I have a suggestion. Lin Chen asked, What advice? Deng Gang smiled and said, The trash fishing rods made in Japan are sold for over 1 million yuan. Our Guangwei fishing rod, priced at 500,000 yuan, isn't it too low? After hearing this, Lin Chen smiled and said, Steele brother, the price of 500,000 yuan is the welfare price I specially gave to your fans in the live broadcast room. But we agreed, I'll only give you 200 units in stock. If it's too much, I don't have it. After hearing this, Deng Gang happily said, Since that's the case, then follow Mr. Lin's advice. Mr. Lin, why don't you go to the live broadcast location first? I'll just tidy up and go over. Lin Chen said, Okay. Chen Xing and Lin Chen walked out of the room and towards the live broadcast location. On the way, Chen Xing nervously asked, Mr. Lin, after watching the fishing rod test just now, I feel like this T40 level carbon fiber is not an ordinary thing. I think it can be applied to the military industry now. We use it to make fishing rods, isn't it a bit overkill? After hearing Chen Xing's words, Lin Chen somewhat admired his sharpness, undoubtedly a senior engineer with many years of experience. Lin Chen smiled slightly and said, I think it's okay. The Dragon Kingdom has a vast territory and abundant resources, so it should not lack this thing. Let's use it to make fishing rods. It's not a waste, is it? On the first day of the new book, please take a sip of your milk, ladies and gentlemen, request some free flower reviews, even if you say a word in the comment section, so that the author will be more motivated to code the words, every day with a minimum of 10,000 words, do what you say Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8 Eagle Sauce. It's stuck on your neck. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing Lin Chen's words, Chen Xing smiled and nodded, saying, "That's right. The materials that we can handle in a prosperous and strong industry should not be lacking in Longhua, right?" Chen Xing excitedly said. "Mr. Lin, with the Guangwei fishing rod, it seems that our prosperous and strong industry can definitely be revived. Based on Deng Gang's number of fans, combined with his influence, 200 fishing rods, I think they are not enough for him to sell." After hearing this, Lin Chen smiled and said, "Of course. Most anglers have both money and leisure, how could they refuse the temptation of a perfect fishing rod?" Lin Chen and Chen Xing are happily imagining the future of a prosperous and strong industry. However, what the two of them were unaware of was the T40 grade carbon fiber, Dragon Kingdom, really not. Half a month ago. World Aviation Industry Conference. The Longhua delegation originally scheduled the T30 carbon fiber product. When receiving it, I encountered some problems. After listening to the other party's explanation, the head of the delegation, Chen Ping, seemed to be able to spew out fire in his eyes. Chen Ping angrily said, "What are you saying? Why don't you ship to us? We booked this batch of goods 6 months ago and paid the deposit. And now, you actually tell us, what does it mean to not prepare to ship to us? Do you, as a company, still maintain credibility?" Robert, the representative of Eagle Sauce's carbon fiber production company, shook his head with a smile and said, "Sorry, Mr. Chen, it's not that we don't want to ship. But because..." Robert seemed to have some unspoken meaning, but halfway through, he didn't continue. Chen Ping keenly sensed this and asked, "Why?" Robert was just about to say something, a white man walked quickly from behind him and said with high tones and arrogance, "Because we don't allow them to ship." Although the white man is also from Eagle Sauce, he speaks Dragon Mandarin quite fluently. Chen Ping asked in confusion, "Who are you? Why aren't they allowed to ship?" The white man smiled and said, "My name is Philip, and I am an official from the Eagle Sauce Department of Defense." After hearing Philip's words, Chen Ping let out a bitter cry in his heart and questioned, "What's wrong with the Ministry of National Defense? We have normal trade relations, even if we are from the Ministry of National Defense, you don't have the authority to intervene in our business, do you?" Philip smiled and said, "That's right. Captain Chen is indeed eloquent. According to common sense, you have already paid the deposit, so, our company should give you the goods. The problem is, the T30 carbon fiber you purchased this time, yesterday, it was listed as a strategic resource by the Ministry of National Defense, so, according to our latest policy, T30 carbon fiber is prohibited from being sold to Longhua. Captain Chen, I'm not sure if you're satisfied with my explanation." After hearing this, Chen Ping smiled incredulously and said coldly, "You are really shameless. Do you think doing so can limit us? There are not only your companies that can produce carbon fiber. Are you not afraid of international condemnation for your treacherous behavior?" Philip smiled proudly and said, "Just condemn it as you please. Captain Chen, there is an ancient saying in the Dragon Kingdom. If you fall behind, you will be beaten. You cannot produce T30 grade carbon fiber, so, what can you do about our behavior like this? Let me tell you clearly, we're doing this to strangle your neck. Without T30 carbon fiber, your aerospace industry is waiting to shut down." After Philip finished speaking, he left with his people. Chen Ping looked at Philip's back with a very angry expression, and his eyes seemed to be able to spew fire. After seeing Chen Ping's expression, other members of the Dragon Kingdom delegation quickly advised him. Captain Chen, calm down, there's no need to have a similar view with such a petty person. Captain Chen, what should we do now? Now is a period of rapid development for Longgua's aerospace industry. If it weren't for T30 carbon fiber, our aerospace industry might have really come to a halt. Chen Ping worked hard to calm down his mood, pondered for a moment, and said. Xiao Wang, immediately contact the domestic authorities and tell them about the problems we are currently facing. Xiao Lu, how many people can you take and ask other companies' prices? This time, we must bring T30 carbon fiber back to Dragon Country. On the first day of the new book, please take a sip of your milk, ladies and gentlemen, request some free flower reviews, even if you say a word in the comment section, so that the author will be more motivated to code the words, every day with a minimum of 10,000 words, do what you say. Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. In crisis, Dragon Country unable to buy carbon fiber. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. This time, Eagle Sauce's ban on the sale of T30 carbon fiber to Dragon Country was a deliberate move. After all, in recent times, Longgua's aerospace industry has developed rapidly. In order to curb the development of the Dragon Kingdom, Eagle Sauce came up with such an shameless move. Not only is T30 carbon fiber banned from Dragon Country, but Eagle Sauce is also secretly notifying other countries. For a while, almost all enterprises producing T30 carbon fiber were under the pressure of Eagle Sauce. I have to agree, it is prohibited to sell T30 carbon fiber to Longhua. Therefore, Chen Ping and others searched for a long time, but did not negotiate a purchase order for T30 carbon fiber. In the lounge, Chen Ping asked dejectedly, everyone, how did you find it? Is there a company willing to sell T30 carbon fiber? After hearing Chen Ping's question, everyone shook their heads. Sorry, Lao Chen, I couldn't find it. Old Chen, I think there's something wrong with this matter. Previously, several countries that had good relations with us, this time, they didn't even sell T30 carbon fiber to us. What surprised me even more was that no matter how much I bid, their answers are all astonishingly consistent, stating that production capacity is insufficient, so, there's no way to cooperate with us. Is it possible that someone is behind the scenes? Chen Ping sighed and said, it's worth talking about. This must be Eagle Sauce's technological blockade on us. A middle-aged man thought for a moment and said, Captain Chen, currently, the production technology of carbon fiber is mainly monopolized by the United States and Japan. And some other countries, although able to produce carbon fiber, however, the quality and quantity are simply too poor. Even if we buy it back, it won't be of much use. If we return empty-handed this time, our aerospace, defense, and military industries will be greatly constrained and challenged. After hearing this, Chen Ping could only silently sigh. What he said is clear to Chen Ping. This time, before Chen Ping led his team to participate in the World Aviation Industry Conference, the leader of the space agency specifically instructed Chen Ping to bring back T30 carbon fiber. After all, now Longgua's aerospace industry has reached its most critical moment. If it weren't for T30 carbon fiber, Longgua's aerospace technology would fall behind again. Chen Ping hesitated for a moment before suddenly standing up, as if he had made some kind of decision, and said, Give me a call, I need to report this matter to the domestic authorities. The assistant handed the encrypted phone to Chen Ping, who quickly walked into the room and dialed a call. Subsequently, a solemn voice came over the phone. Who is it? Chen Ping quickly said, Hello phone, I am Chen Ping. On the other end of the phone, it was Feng Yitsai, the director of the Space Administration. Meanwhile, Feng Yitsai is also Chen Ping's mentor. It is precisely because of this relationship that he can directly contact Feng Yi. After hearing Chen Ping's voice, Feng Yitsai smiled and said, It's Xiao Chen. Are you calling me to give me good news? When can T30 carbon fiber be shipped back? Our big plane, whether it takes off successfully depends entirely on this batch of carbon fiber raw materials. After hearing Feng Yicai's expectant voice, Chen Ping's throat tightened. Although Chen Ping is in a difficult situation, it is still a major event. He dared not conceal anything at all, so he took a deep breath and said. Feng Lao, I'm sorry, there was a bit of an accident with this collaboration. T30 carbon fiber, we can't bring it back. On the other end of the phone, there was silence. Chen Ping urgently asked, Feng Lao, are you okay? After a long time, Feng Yi slowly said. Xiao Chen, what's wrong? You need to tell me in detail and not conceal anything at all. Chen Ping nodded and said seriously, yes. Feng Lao, originally, we had already signed an agreement with American companies. Today was originally the day they delivered the goods, but suddenly, an official from the Ministry of National Defense emerged and forced the company to cancel this trade. According to officials from the Ministry of National Defense, T30 carbon fiber, listed as a strategic resource, prohibited from selling to Dragon Country. After hearing Chen Ping's words, Feng Yicai let out a bitter smile and continued to ask. Xiao Chen, have you also found companies from other countries? Did they find various excuses to refuse to sell carbon fiber to Dragon Country? Chen Ping nodded in surprise and said. Feng Lao, how did you know all this? Feng Yicai sneered and said. Humph, these despicable methods are commonly used by Americans. Their purpose in doing so is to curb the development of our aerospace industry. However, this time, their wishful thinking is about to fall through. On the first day of the new book, please take a sip of your milk, ladies and gentlemen, request some free flower reviews, even if you say a word in the comment section, so that the author will be more motivated to code the words, every day with a minimum of 10,000 words. Do what you say. Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Making a military order. 3 months to fix carbon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing Feng Yicai's words, Chen Ping's eyes lit up and he excitedly said. Feng Lao, do you have access to carbon fiber resources on your end? If that's the case, our country's aerospace industry has been saved. After hearing Chen Ping's words, Feng Yicai couldn't help but laugh and said, Xiao Chen. These questions are not something you can ask. Although you are my proudest student, however, confidentiality regulations still need to be followed. After hearing this, Chen Ping quickly smiled and said. Sorry, Mr. Chen, I crossed the line. Feng Yicai smiled and said, all right. Xiao Chen, don't be too anxious on your end. If you haven't successfully brought back T30 carbon fiber, I can't blame you entirely for this matter. Leave this matter to your teacher. After hanging up the phone, Feng Yi's originally smiling face suddenly turned cold. Just now, Feng Yi deliberately pretended to be relaxed. I just don't want my lover to have too much pressure. Without any hesitation, Feng Yi finally dialed a phone number. After the phone was connected, Feng Yi finally got straight to the topic. Old Yi, the Americans are starting to make small moves. This time, playing with technology blockade, T30 carbon fiber has been listed as a strategic material. On Xiao Chen's side, we haven't brought back T30 carbon fiber. A voice slowly came from the other end of the phone. This person is the president of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Yi Jianqua. Meanwhile, Yi Jianqua is also an old friend of Feng Yicai for many years. Yi Jianqua smiled and said, after all these years, Americans still use these few moves. They can't come up with some new tricks. Feng Yicai had no intention of joking, and he said seriously. Old Yi, although they play this trick very cliché, however, we have to admit that this move is very effective. If you get stuck in technology, you may suffocate and die. Old Yi, the material of carbon fiber, you should know how important our country's aerospace industry is. Half a year ago, when our aerospace industry made breakthrough progress, I have a premonition that Americans will definitely take action. I didn't expect them to be so calm this time, they dragged on for so long. Old Yi, what's going on with the research and development of carbon fiber at the Chinese Academy of Sciences? Yi Jianque said, at present, T20 carbon fiber technology has been fully mastered. T30, still under development. Feng Yicai said, Old Yi, there isn't much time left for us. Our aerospace industry started later than others, after generations of astronauts' efforts, we finally caught up with them. If we can't handle T30 carbon fiber this time, at that time, we will be completely separated again. Yi Jianque said seriously. Old Feng, I don't know what you're saying. However, carbon fiber technology has long been monopolized and controlled by the United States and Japan, and there are also strict export restrictions and controls on it. In this situation, we can break through their technological blockade. It's already quite difficult to replicate T20 carbon fiber, and T30 carbon fiber is currently the world's top technology. There are several technologies inside that are completely blank in our dragon country, so, please give us some more time. After hearing this, Feng Yicai impulsively said. Old Yi, I can give you time. But ask the Americans and the Japanese, are they willing to give you time? They can't wait for our aerospace industry to die suddenly. After Feng Yicai finished speaking, he realized he was impulsive and quickly apologized. Sorry, Lao Yi, I'm too excited. Yi Jianque said, it's okay, I can understand your feelings. Actually, we are also very anxious and want to quickly get rid of the foreign technology blockade. Feng Yicai sighed and said. Old Yi, the Chinese Academy of Sciences, has gathered the top scientists in the country. If none of you can handle this matter, in the Dragon Kingdom, there is no second person who can do it again. So, Lao Yi, I request you to quickly develop T30 carbon fiber. I know, starting from scratch is a particularly difficult thing. But didn't we all come here this way before? Old Yi, I hope you can understand. Only with the development of the aerospace industry can our country, Longhua, stand tall outside. After hearing Feng Yicai's words, Yi Jianque said seriously, Old Feng. Give us another 3 months' time, and I promise to lead the team in developing T30 carbon fiber. Within 3 months, I promise to bring you good news. On the first day of the new book, please take a sip of your milk, ladies and gentlemen, request some free flower reviews, even if you say a word in the comments section, so that the author will be more motivated to code the words, every day with a minimum of 10,000 words. Do what you say. Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.